Hello and welcome to Toronto Union Station. Today we're headed to Vancouver, climbing aboard Canada's greatest train, the Canadian. The last of the true transcontinental trains in North America, the Canadian is a living, breathing piece of railroading history. Over the next 4 days, we'll travel more than 4,000 kilometers through dense forests, endless prairies, and the towering peaks of the Rocky Mountains, all from the comfort of our classic stainless steel rail cars. On board, we'll enjoy cozy sleeper cabins, incredible chef-prepared meals, and unbeatable views from the famous dome cars. This is slow travel at its finest, where the journey is just as incredible as the destination. So settle in, grab a window seat, and let's experience one of the world's most legendary trains. Our journey begins at none other than Toronto Union Station, the eastern terminus for the Canadian. The 1927 station is the largest and busiest station in Canada and serves trains from Via Rail and GO Transit, plus Amtrak's Maple Leaf to New York and Toronto's Union Pearson Express to Toronto Pearson International Airport. Just beyond the front doors is the absolutely incredible Station Hall. The 250-foot-long Great Hall hosts Via Rail's ticketing and information desks, stairways down to the station's shops and restaurants, and access points to the 3 train concourses. Our first stop today is the Business Class Lounge, where we'll check in for the Canadian. It's here where we receive our meal reservations for the first day of travel. We'll be in the 3rd seating today, with each meal slip covering both lunch and dinner. The lounge itself is reasonably large, but it is packed on this occasion, with all the Canadian's passengers waiting for the journey to begin. The first boarding call rings out over the PA system about 30 minutes before departure. Heading down through the Via Concourse, we make our way to track 17 before ascending to the platform to meet our train. Here it is, Train 1, the Canadian. We'll be traveling in car 112, room D, a double suite. Setting our stuff down, it's immediately off to the dome car to get ready for departure. The clock hits 9:55, our train powers to life, and the Canadian begins to roll out of Toronto. The Canadian will take us 2,775 miles to Vancouver while traversing 5 of Canada's provinces. Day 1 begins in Toronto, traversing much of Ontario and the Canadian Shield with its granite cliffs and pristine lakes. Day 2 continues our journey through Canada's boreal forest, Winnipeg, Manitoba the effective halfway point as we arrive at sunset. The vast prairies of Manitoba and Saskatchewan are the feature of Day 3, offering endless golden fields under open skies. Day 4 opens with a stop in Jasper, Alberta, before entering the Canadian Rockies for the scenic highlight of our journey west. The sun greets us at journey's end on the morning of Day 5, Vancouver's Pacific Central Station welcoming the Canadian at the end of the line. The first landmark on the Canadian is spotted just beyond the platforms of Toronto, the CN Tower. It's so tall and close to the tracks that the only way to really see it is from the wraparound windows of the Skyline dome car. While the dome is great for sightseeing, we're also here to enjoy a bon voyage snack and toast. Passengers are served mimosas in light bites, the excitement palpable in the air as we roll out of the city. Toronto quickly fades into the rural landscapes of eastern Ontario. Springtime may be right around the corner, but there's still a thick coat of snow across the ground, a little taste of the weather to come. From our perch in the central skyline car, we have an incredible, unobstructed view of our train sweeping its way around the curves of the main line. There are 3 dome cars on today's train, 2 Skyline and 1 Park. The car we're in now is a Skyline dome car, the series manufactured between 1954 and 55 for the Canadian Pacific Railway. The defining feature of the Skyline cars are their characteristic domes, elevating passengers above the train for a panoramic view of the scenery. Each dome is laid out in a 2x2 with mainly airline-style rows. The seats are very comfortable, making it easy to stay here for extended periods of time, as many do throughout the journey. The second type of dome car on our train is the Park car, located at the rear of the train. The Park car is home to the Bullet Lounge and Prestige class, which we'll have a look at here in a bit. While the dome is easily the best feature of the Skyline car, it does have some other aspects that make it the place to be. At the lead end of the car is a lounge with plenty of table seating for chatting, snacking, or just hanging out. Passing through to the other side of the car is where we'll find the open seating area with snacks, drinks, and games. Coffee, water, and juice are available for free throughout the journey, as are light snacks and fresh fruits. I found that throughout the entire trip I never needed more than what was offered, as the meals are more than enough food to keep me full. Now, we're on this train for the next 4 days, which can get quite boring for some. Via Rail recognizes this, which is why the Skyline car is also the activity car. Each day there will be new activities written out on the boards, ranging from information sessions about the train, to movies and even beer and wine tastings. Returning to our perch, the Eastern Ontario views continue, the vibrant blue sky and patchy clouds making for a stunning backdrop to the snow-covered landscape. Ontario is known for some of the clearest waters in Canada, its name quite literally translating to beautiful water in the Iroquois languages. Washago is a great opportunity to see just how clear the waters are. From up in the dome, we can see straight through to the riverbed below. Traveling across Canada, you're bound to see some wildlife. A swan or two is a great sight, but how about a whole flock? So what is the Canadian and why is it so special? The Canadian is North America's last transcontinental passenger train and the last Streamliner train still in service. The train started life under Canadian Pacific in 1955, running between Montreal and Vancouver via Sudbury, Regina, and Calgary. The service ran in parallel to Canadian National's Supercontinental, which ran on the Northern Transcontinental Line through Winnipeg, Saskatoon, and Edmonton. Via Rail took over passenger service on both routes in 1978, and just 3 years later, the Supercontinental was cut, with the Canadian shifting to the Canadian National tracks in 1990. Since then, the Canadian has run twice weekly between Toronto and Vancouver, holding strong as the last bastion of transcontinental service in North America. Now, there are two cars we haven't seen yet, and those are the prestige cars found at the rear of the train. The first of these is a prestige remodel of a traditional sleeper, but the last car on the Canadian is easily the best, the park car. The park car is part sleeper, part dome, and best of all, part lounge. This is the park car's Bullet Lounge, a wraparound lounge area with panoramic views of the scenery beside the train and of the tracks behind. The Bullet or Observation Lounge includes plenty of couch seating, with cup holders, reading lights, and outlets at each seat. With the Prestige overhaul, the lounge and the car as a whole got a new luxurious interior, one which brings you right back to the golden era of rail travel while still including a modern touch. Coffee and tea are always available in the Bullet Lounge, found beside the stairs up to the dome. If you're looking for a bit more or want a snack, then the park car's bar is the place to be. The bar offers the same light snacks and fruit as in the Skyline car, with alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages available for purchase. There's also a bit more seating if you're looking for a spot to enjoy a drink. Of course, the place to be in the park car is the dome. The dome seats here have been refurbished with a new brown leather, the first 3 rows of which are reserved for prestige passengers at all hours of the day. Now, at peak travel season, the park car is limited to prestige passengers only until 4 p.m. every day. This changes during the winter off-peak, with the car open to all passengers during all hours, which means we can enjoy the park car as much as we want. Sleeper passengers on the Canadian are treated to 3-course meals included in the price of their ticket. The first service for our journey is lunch, served in the dining car just behind the Skyline Dome car. The dining car is set with white tablecloths, proper dish and silverware, with an air of class drifting throughout the car. Lunch today starts with a soup or fruit juice, a choice of main course, and a delicious dessert. I started with the soup, followed by the barbecue pulled pork. The main course is served with a side salad and a bit of fruit, the serving size of which is quite generous. It's all very tasty, the lightly dressed salad pairing well with the savory pulled pork. Though I will say this is definitely a Canadian rendition of a dish I'm used to back in the States, so don't expect an American-style barbecue when ordering this dish. It's worth noting that non-alcoholic beverages are complimentary during all dining periods, though alcohol is a paid extra regardless of mealtime. As we dine, we fly up and over Parry Sound on Canadian Pacific's Parry Sound Trestle. The last course of our lunch is dessert, which today is a slice of carrot cake, topped with caramel and a layer of cream cheese icing splitting the cake. It's a really excellent way to wrap up our first meal on the Canadian. While we ate, the weather outside slowly turned from a clear day to a heavy snowfall. While it's not the most scenic way to experience the landscape, it sure is a Canadian way to see it. Returning to the Skyline car, it's time for a presentation on the Canadian Shield, one of the largest geological formations in all of Canada. As the presentation begins, the snow picks up, the horizon and even the end of our train obscured in a white haze. What's not obscured is the forest just beyond the tracks, and if you keep your eyes peeled, you might just spot a wolf. The first signs of civilization in a few hours come in Capreol, our first fresh air break on the Canadian. Passing the Capreol Rail Museum, we pull into the snow-covered station. We've got about 15 minutes here, our train already delayed due to freight congestion. This is our first real chance to see the Canadian in all of its glory. These streamlined cars are truly one of a kind, their silver sides blending upward into the snowy sky. Right at the end is the park car. That wraparound end is unlike anything else on the rails today, bringing the Canadian to a close like the final movement in a beautiful symphony. Our train today is formed of 14 cars and 3 F40PH locomotives, adding up to a total length of 1,361 feet, or a little over a quarter of a mile. In the summer, the Canadian more than doubles, adding another diner, dome car, economy coach, prestige sleeper, and 3 to 4 regular sleepers. We're ushered back on board right as our 15 minutes expires, the crew eager to get us back underway. And I'm okay with that. Me and cold weather don't mix too well, so it's back to the warmth of the Canadian. The last activity of day 1 is a wine tasting, featuring wines from around Canada. This and all of the other activities on board are free to everyone, and they're a great way to meet your fellow travelers. As the sun sets, we all enjoy the wines and exchange travel stories. While you can keep to yourself on trips like this, I found that the people who choose to take a train across Canada are often the exact kind of people you want to chat with. You never know who you're going to meet, the friends you'll make, and the stories you'll write together. I gotta say that while the journey is spectacular, the people I met on board made this trip really something special. The group of you watching know exactly who I'm talking about, and I want to say thank you to all of you for making this experience just that much more enjoyable. Dinner is the last course of action on day 1 of the Canadian. As with lunch, dinner is a 3-course meal with a super salad, main course, and a dessert. Dinner this evening starts with a pretzel roll and a bowl of minestrone soup, followed by our excellent beef tenderloin. And when I say excellent, it really is. It's cooked to perfection with a rich sauce, creamy mashed potatoes, and grilled vegetables. You'll notice a theme throughout the journey of our food being excellent. Via prides themselves on their food and their chefs, with each chef on the Canadian boasting a Red Seal, a highly prestigious certification of apprenticeship in Canada. While our main course was delicious, we're not done yet. Dessert today is either a dulce de leche cheesecake or a chocolate fudge cake. Being the chocolate lover I am, I had to go with the chocolate cake. And what a way to finish day 1. It is unbelievably rich and dense, with an intense chocolatey flavor. It's pretty much the epitome of death by chocolate, and I am here for it. While at dinner, our car attendant came by to convert our room from day to night. In its night layout, the double sleeper sees the bottom bunk fold out of the wall across the main seating area. The bed is fitted with a thick mattress, sheets, a plush comforter, and plenty of pillows, and it's perfect for a good night's sleep. For 2 passengers, the top bunk descends from the ceiling, a ladder installed to reach the upper bed. Each mattress is approximately 71 inches long by 31 inches wide, or 180 centimeters by 79 centimeters. Now that's a bit too short for me, but if you include the extra space just beyond the mattress, it's just long enough for me to stretch out fully and get comfortable. Before we head to bed, it's shower time. Each room includes a shower kit for each passenger, inside of which is a couple towels, shampoo, and a bar of soap. The shower for our car is found at the end of the hallway between the rooms and berths. Stepping inside, we enter the dry side of the shower room. The dry side isn't huge, but it's enough space to change in, though you'll be hard-pressed to do much more than that. There's a small stool to sit on, a trash can, and a towel disposal, with some rails on top to stop personal belongings from sliding off. Opening the glass door, we find the shower stall. It's smaller than the dry side, though not by much. The controls for the shower are a little different than what I'm used to. Passengers press the button on top to start the flow of water, the temperature of which is adjusted by the knob below. While it's not glamorous, as far as a train shower goes, it does the job. Shower done, it's time for bed. Getting comfortable under the covers, it's lights out on day 1. We awake on day 2 somewhere in central Ontario. It's about 7 AM, the daylight just beginning to break through the trees. First stop, of course, is breakfast. Breakfast is the only meal on board that doesn't require a reservation and is served from 6:30 to 8:30 AM. Breakfast is also the only meal where the menu does not change daily, but the 5 options provide more than enough variety for our journey. For our first breakfast on our transcontinental trip, I had to go with the transcontinental breakfast. It's a usual mix of eggs, bacon, and hash browns, served with a muffin or toast. And I had to get the usual suite of coffee and orange juice. Heading over to the Skyline car, we can check the activity board to see what's in store for today. Looks like we're in for a talk on Canadian trees, a beer tasting, a movie in the afternoon, and a brief info session on things to do in Winnipeg ahead of our longer stop there. If breakfast wasn't filling enough, prepackaged pastries are available for the taking in both the Skyline and Park cars, and include muffins, croissants, and pain au chocolat. The trend of snowy weather continues from yesterday, and this time it's even heavier. The once visible economy Skyline car is now almost entirely obscured by the snow blowing off the ridged roofs of our train. Despite being a passenger train, the Canadian is the lowest priority train on the main line. As a result, we're frequently shunted aside to allow freight trains to pass. There's never any worry about these delays, as the schedule is very generous with time. The snow finally lets up, the entirety of our train now visible for the first time today. An event looked forward to by everyone is the meeting of the east and westbound trains. We slow coming into a siding, and around the curve ahead appears train number 2. It's all smiles and waves from train to train as the two silver snakes slither past each other, the crews of each train exchanging pleasantries over the radio. Heading back to our sleeper, it's time we take a look at what our sleeper cabin has to offer. We're staying in room D in car 112, the Franklin Manor. The Manor sleepers are one of 2 Bud manufactured sleeper cars currently operated by Via Rail, with each car named after a distinguished English Canadian. Franklin Manor is named after Sir John Franklin, a famous Arctic explorer who led expeditions north into Canada in the 1800s. Room D is one of the 6 double cabins available on Manor sleepers. At 7 foot 3 inches by 5 feet or 214 by 152 centimeters, the room is very spacious, especially for a solo traveler. The room size notably does not account for the ensuite toilet, which adds an additional 5.5 square feet or 0.53 square meters. In its daytime configuration, double suites include 2 leather armchairs, both of which are very comfortable. They're well cushioned, recline, and they're not tied down, allowing them to be moved anywhere in the room. Information on our train, a route guide, and the Do Not Disturb placard are all found in a leather pocket mounted on the wall. Built into the wall opposite the seating area is the room's vanity. From top to bottom we find a bit of storage, a mirror light, a trifold mirror, and the sink. The sink doubles as a bit of table space, the tabletop flipping down to reveal the sink. The water pressure is plenty high, beside which is a drinking tap and a few smaller amenities, such as lotion, earplugs, and soap. A box of tissues is found beneath the sink. Beside the vanity are the room controls. The stack includes an attendant call button and toggles for the overhead lights, mirror light, bathroom light, fan, and the room's 2 outlets. Storage space in double suites comes in the form of an overhead luggage hold. There's more than enough space for my carry-on suitcase, camera bag, large backpack, and 2 shower kits. Additional storage is found by the door with a small cubby and coat rack located beneath the room's ventilation controls. And of course, each room gets a large window to enjoy the spectacular scenery. One of the best aspects of the double suite is the private ensuite bathroom. The bathroom is very small, but at least it's private. Hand face and regular towels are found hung on the bathroom door, with more included in the shower kits. Despite its size, the double suite does not include an ensuite shower, as we saw yesterday. Instead, passengers have access to the shared facility at the end of the car. Of course, booking a double suite comes with a significant price tag. For our journey between Toronto and Vancouver, I paid $1,402, a price which included an early booking discount and the Canadian Black Friday discount. While it's pricey, I thoroughly enjoyed the extra space afforded by the double suite and would certainly consider booking it again on a future journey. In addition to double suites, Manor cars also include private roomettes and berths. Roomettes are the smaller of the two private sleeper accommodations. Unfortunately, all of the roomettes were occupied throughout the journey, so I didn't get any footage of those, but they do include a single seat during the day, with a small amount of storage and a sink in the corner. At night, a bed folds down from the wall behind the chair, spanning the room. The berths are easily the most different of the three sleeping accommodation types. During the day, each passenger is provided a couch for seating. At night, the two couches combine into a lower bed with a second upper berth folding down from the ceiling. Berths are a great way to get a lie-flat accommodation and complimentary meals for cheap. However, they do not include an outlet, so be prepared to go without power for quite some time. Our next opportunity to step off the train is Sioux Lookout, the transition point between forest landscape and flat farmland. It is, of course, cold, but it's not snowing, so I'll take it. The fresh air break is a perfect opportunity to head up to the front of our train to see the locomotives hauling us to Vancouver. Leading the Canadian are three F40PH locomotives. 6421 is on point, with 6441 and 6454 in tow. As with many towns along the Canadian, Sioux Lookout is a railway town, having been incorporated in 1912 while serving as a terminal and junction for the National Transcontinental Railroad. Safety is a big part of rail travel anywhere in the world, and a part of VIA's safety protocol is having one person in each car be briefed on how to operate the vestibule doors in the case of an emergency. Our car attendant chose me to be that person, so why don't we learn together?
So 3 steps, only if one of us asks you to.
Okay.
So this comes down, we would tell you left or right based on facing the front.
Gotcha.
Number 1, clicks into here.
Okay.
Pretty much the same thing for number 2.
Gotcha.
Clicks down here. Then hold on to here, just get your balance.
Okay.
And this little button, you just
Gotcha.
stomp on it.
Push on it and the whole thing comes up.
That's it.
Cool.
Alright.
And if your car attendant is as cool as ours, she'll let you do it yourself. So, 1 is up, across, 2 does the same, here,
Ta-da!
awesome. Departing Sioux Lookout, it's back to the dome car to enjoy more of that Ontario scenery. Up in the dome car is also where we'll have the beer tasting. The selection includes a mix of local beers and is an excellent way to pass the time. Would you look at that? Another freight train. We're on the 3rd seating for lunch today, as we were yesterday. The lunch menu has changed to a new selection with a burger, tuna melt, falafel pita, and quinoa salad as the main course offerings. I went with the burger today, which comes served with a side of coleslaw and a piece of melon. While it's not the most exciting lunch option, it's still very good. The burger is juicy and the veggies fresh, though a bit of cheese would have been appreciated. Dessert today is a brownie and vanilla ice cream. A classic way to finish up a classic lunch. The tunnels and scenery continue back in the dome car. The snow has started up again, the landscape a haze beyond the window.
What I'm going to do now is just give you a little bit of information on...
As we transition away from the forest lands, it's movie time. The movie today is The Legendary Canadian, a fitting documentary on the Canadian to watch on the Canadian. While it had been a gray day since we woke up, the sun finally began to break through the clouds as we crossed over into Manitoba. The crossing into Manitoba brought with it a stark transition into the farmland of central Canada. The next stop on the Canadian is Winnipeg, the effective halfway point of our journey. It's here where we'll change crews and the train will be cleaned. Passengers must either leave the train or remain on board for the duration of the stop, as the platform will be closed for 2 hours prior to departure. The stop unfortunately coincides with dinner on the Canadian, with the second seating expected to wrap up their meal right as the train arrives in Winnipeg. Now, it turns out we've managed to make up time. So much time, in fact, that we're pulling into Winnipeg an hour early. Normally that's not a problem, but I've booked the second dining, thinking we'll be finishing as we get into Winnipeg. With this extra hour, things have changed. We'll now be beginning dinner right as we pull in, which isn't ideal for seeing the sights. Anyway, we've got a bit before dinner, and hey, would you look at that? Canadian National sent a welcome party for our arrival into Winnipeg. All jokes aside, the freight traffic passes and the Winnipeg skyline emerges from the horizon. Dinner starts, as expected, right when we pull into Winnipeg. Dinner today comes from a choice of pork loin, cod, chicken Florentine, and a vegetable lasagna. Our starter today is a bowl of soup, followed by our massive pork loin. It's a massive cut of meat, served with a few potatoes and grilled vegetables. Dessert is a slice of key lime pie, something I'm not normally a fan of, but found delicious on this occasion. With our time in Winnipeg ticking, dinner is a speedy affair. Wrapping up, we can grab our coat and step off the train. Winnipeg Union Station is a masterpiece, designed by Warren and Wetmore, the same architects responsible for Grand Central Terminal. And stepping into the main hall, it's easy to see that Grand Central design. The main hall's rotunda is finished in that same green as the ceiling in Grand Central, the cream walls and gold accents bringing a refined and elegant charm to the station. The facade wears the same elegance, the grand entryway welcoming passengers into the halls of the station. With a couple hours to explore Winnipeg, what's there to do? One thing the crew recommends is exploring the Forks Market. The market is a short 2-minute walk from the station, the path there lined with historic rail cars. While most things are closed by this hour, a few smaller businesses are still open and serving, so there's always something to see. And if you're somehow looking for a bite to eat after dinner, then head on over to the other side of the station to VJ's Drive-In, a burger joint that almost every crew member recommends.
The other door says entrance.
The cold weather means that while there's still time in our stop, we must retreat to the warmth of the station before reboarding the train. With everyone on board, it's time to continue our journey west. But departure time comes, and we don't move. An hour goes by, and we're finally told that one of our locomotives is having brake issues, which means we won't be leaving until 11 p.m., 90 minutes after our scheduled departure. It's just our luck that after arriving in Winnipeg an hour early, we're now 90 minutes late. But hey, what can you do? While the day is done and this video is at its end, there's one last thing to see before we head to bed. If you're really lucky and the weather is right, then you just might be able to see the aurora borealis. You might be thinking to yourself, aurora borealis at this time of day, at this time of year, in this part of the country, located entirely along the horizon? Well, yes. It's incredibly faint and only just above the horizon, but it's there. While the video doesn't do well to capture it, long exposure photographs do, so here's some shots of the aurora.
Barely comes through on the video. Just barely. Aurora borealis. At this time of day, at this time of year.
Heading off to our room, it's time for bed. Day 3 on the Canadian begins bright and early, the sunlight just barely making its way through the thick clouds. First course of action today is of course breakfast. For breakfast I went with the chef's omelet, which today is feta and tomato, and is served with a side of hash browns and toast. The parked car is where we'll spend most of our day today, the warmth of the dome the best place to enjoy the snowy Canadian prairies. The flat landscape of Saskatchewan is broken up only by the grain elevators of passing towns. Almost every town we pass has one, each a variation on a theme. The grain elevators give farmers an outlet to sell their crops, connecting remote towns with buyers across Canada. Blue sky greets us west of Watrous. The farmland beyond our train slowly replaced with suburbs as we approach Saskatoon. Saskatoon is our first and only opportunity to step off the train today, and we'll make the most of it. Now unfortunately, it's here where my gimbal recording software decided to change from 4K to 1080p, so everything filmed outside the train will be in 1080p from here on out. I apologize in advance to my viewers watching in higher resolutions for the blurry footage, but there's nothing I can do. It is a beautiful day here in Saskatoon. While it's still quite cold, the sunlight and fresh air feel amazing after being on board all morning. While we are stopped at Saskatoon Station, we're hardly in Saskatoon. The station is located on the very southern edge of town, making it less than accessible by any means besides car. The station is large but basic. There's seating in the middle of the central waiting hall, tickets, baggage, and bathrooms found in the various rooms off of the main space. Of course, we've arrived here behind schedule due to freight congestion, which means our stop coincides with the start of our lunchtime. The crew calls out for the second lunch seating, and it's off to the dining car to enjoy our meal. As with all meals, we start with a soup, this time chicken noodle, followed by our main course. The ginger beef caught my attention today, the meat served on a bed of rice with a side salad. The beef is crispy, tangy, and delicious, the fresh salad complementing its rich flavor wonderfully. Dessert is an apple crumble with vanilla ice cream, and you guessed it, it's wonderful. While alcohol is a paid extra on board, there are a few times where it's free, and that's during the beer and wine tastings. Today's wine tasting is a little different. Instead of really tasting the wine, we're playing bingo while enjoying wine and the company of our fellow travelers. Back in the parked car, there's a bit of bad news. One of the forward windows has shattered. All of the windows on the Canadian are double paned, so it's still safe to continue, but it does mean we'll be without one of the best vantage points for the scenery tomorrow. While we're in the park car, it's high time we take a look at Prestige class. Prestige is the highest class of service on the Canadian, featuring upgraded rooms, amenities, and exclusive access to the park car during peak travel season. Prestige class is found in the latter cars of each train, with an upgraded manor and park car housing the enhanced rooms. It is immediately evident when you're in a Prestige car, as the walls change from the standard gray to brown leather with chrome trim. The Prestige rooms are a massive step up from Sleeper Plus. Each room is 71.1 square feet or 6.6 square meters, which includes an 18.7 square foot or 1.7 square meter private bathroom. The Prestige rooms have been upgraded with new upholstery and a wood and chrome finish, enhancing the feel of luxury. A comfortable L-shaped sofa wraps around the room, providing optimal views out of the massive window. A bit of storage is found above the couch, as are a blanket and complimentary water bottles. To enhance the travel experience, Prestige rooms are fitted with a TV and a selection of movies, TV shows, and music. Each Prestige room also includes an ensuite bathroom, and it is very nice. It includes all of the usual amenities, but with an upgraded air of class. Easily the nicest part of the bathroom is the private ensuite shower, which is quite a bit nicer than the communal facility we have access to in Sleeper Plus. Prestige rooms include larger windows than in Sleeper Plus, providing an enhanced view of the scenery outside. When day turns to night, a double bed folds down from the wall, aligning with the window for perfect bed views. It is worth noting that this room is not fully set up as a Prestige passenger would find it when they arrive. One of the crew was using it for storage, but was gracious enough to let me poke around for a few minutes to get some footage. In addition to the wonderful rooms, Prestige passengers also receive complimentary snacks and drinks, including alcohol and light appetizers before each meal. During the peak travel season, the park car is reserved exclusively for Prestige passengers until the early evening every day, allowing each passenger to relax and enjoy the lounge and dome at the rear of the train. When traveling in the off-peak, the park car is open to all passengers at all hours of the day. However, the front 3 rows of the park dome are reserved for Prestige passengers, so there's still an exclusive seat available. All of this is great, but it of course comes with a cost. For the winter season, travel between Toronto and Vancouver starts at 5,379 Canadian per person and 6,965 Canadian for the summer peak. If you're a solo traveler, then you must cover both occupancy charges, which sees the price jump to over 10,000 Canadian, which is frankly staggering. Prestige class is also excluded from any discounts, so the only way to get cheaper tickets is to book well in advance. Now, is it worth the price? Well, that's up to you to decide. In my opinion, no. Sure, it's nice, but paying nearly 5 times as much as Sleeper Plus is hard to justify. But if you're looking for a luxury way to see Canada, then Prestige is definitely an option. The flat plains of Saskatchewan continue beyond the train, the occasional river the only variation in an otherwise featureless landscape. Canapés are served around 5:30 p.m., the light bites enough to tide us over until dinner. It's also here where we spot our second wolf of the journey. This one is much farther from the train than the first, but it's a wolf sighting nonetheless. The low-hanging clouds that have blanketed the landscape since just after Saskatoon finally show signs of lifting as a band of daylight appears on the horizon. And just like that, we exit from beneath the cloud cover into a beautiful blue sky day. The timing couldn't have been more perfect, as we're just 20 minutes out from one of the most spectacular sunsets I have ever seen. As day fades to night, it's time for dinner. Dinner tonight comes from a choice of prime rib, sole filet, chicken with lentils, or a marinated tofu. Our meal starts with another delicious bowl of vegetable soup, followed by our main course, the prime rib. The prime rib is incredible. It's unbelievably tender, juicy, and full of flavor. It's served alongside a creamy heap of buttery mashed potatoes and a few roasted veggies. If you're more interested in the chicken, here's what to expect. And for what my fellow passenger mentioned, it too is delicious. Dinner tonight is capped off by a slice of strawberry cake. It's light, sweet, and the perfect follow-up to the heavy main course. Retiring to our cabin, we pass by the eastbound Canadian number 2 on its way to Toronto. Climbing back into our comfortable bunk, it's time for another good night's rest. We're up bright and early on day 4, or really dark and early, with sunrise not for another hour. Breakfast on day 4 operates a little differently than what we're used to. The Canadians' first major stop on day 4 is Jasper, the halt scheduled for 6:30 a.m., right when breakfast is supposed to start. To give passengers the full time to explore Jasper, Via serves a continental breakfast before Jasper, followed by brunch after departure. The continental breakfast menu is pretty sparse, but that's to be expected. Passengers can choose from a selection of continental items, of which I went with a bowl of oatmeal, yogurt, and a muffin, paired with a cup of coffee. Of course, if you don't want to bother with the dining car, light pastries, juices, and coffee can also be picked up in the dome. Although Jasper is scheduled for 6:30 a.m., we're a couple hours behind schedule. Normally this would be less than ideal, but it's actually perfect, as we've just entered the foothills of the Canadian Rockies. Of course, Mother Nature just had to spoil the views with a thick, low-hanging fog, but that won't stop us from enjoying the spectacular scenery. The sun finally makes its first appearance as it peeks out from behind the slopes of the Rockies. Hopefully most of this fog will burn off by the time we depart Jasper, but we'll just have to wait and see. And speaking of, we're pulling into Jasper now. With our late arrival, we'll have just 45 minutes here in Jasper, but that's more than enough time to see the town and appreciate our beautiful train. Jasper Station was originally built in 1911 as a rail siding named Fitzhugh by the Grand Trunk Pacific Railway. The siding was renamed to Jasper in 1913, with the station built in 1926 by Canadian National. The beautiful station was declared a heritage site in 1992 and now plays host to Via's The Canadian and Prince Rupert trains. Jasper is also the western terminus for two of Rocky Mountaineer's luxury trains, Journey Through the Clouds and Rainforest to Gold Rush. Another piece of railroading history is found here in Jasper, a preserved Canadian National U1A locomotive. Number 6015 was built for Canadian National in 1923, retired in 1960, and has been on display here in Jasper since 1972. And speaking of railroading history, the Canadian just celebrated its 70th anniversary. On April 24, 1955, the Canadian began service under Canadian Pacific, running between Montreal and Vancouver. The actual town of Jasper is home to only 4,700 people, with everything within walking distance of the station. Normally there's plenty of time to explore the town, however our abbreviated stop means we're limited in what we can see. Although it's a foggy day, the Rockies provide a stunning backdrop to our train. And we're in luck today, as Via's Jasper to Prince Rupert train is about to begin its 2-day trip through Alberta and British Columbia. While in Jasper, the dome windows are cleaned, as we'll be traveling through the stunning Rocky Mountains for the rest of the day. As the sky begins to clear, it's back on board for the start of our crossing of the Canadian Rockies. It starts with a bon voyage featuring canapes and sparkling wine, followed by some truly stunning views of the Rocky Mountains.
But it's actually sweetgrass, but it's encased in sterling silver. Yeah.
Sure, I could say something about the Rockies, but I'll just let the mountains speak for themselves. It's mountain after mountain as we wind our way through the Rockies, the peaks shrouded in the winter clouds.
Oh, you should have sat at your table.
Now, I know the conditions aren't ideal for enjoying the scenery. Trust me, I was hoping for clear blue skies to contrast the snowy slopes, but that doesn't make the journey any less impressive. The strange timing of the Jasper stop means brunch will take the place of both breakfast and lunch. The brunch menu includes a mix of breakfast and lunch choices. Seeing as we were late to depart Jasper, the start of brunch was also delayed. By the time we head to the dining car, it's well past lunchtime, so I went with the pasta of the day. Our meal starts with a mimosa provided for free by the crew as an apology for the late dining. Today's pasta is cheese ravioli served with a tomato sauce and a bit of flatbread. It's quite tasty, but not as filling as I was hoping for. Walls of evergreen trees begin to surround the tracks as we return to the park car, a heavy snowfall descending from the sky above. As we cruise through the mountains, everyone on board is on high alert for wildlife on the banks of the many rivers which follow the tracks. It's places like these where moose are most likely to be spotted, but unfortunately for us, none showed themselves on this occasion. It's nothing but mountains, rivers, snow, and tunnels for miles and miles, the scenery keeping everyone in awe as the Canadian powers west.
Coca-Cola.
Sorry.
You don't tell her I'm surprised. Yeah, careful. It's a family show.
The daylight slowly fades as the mountains subside, which means it's time for our final dinner on the Canadian. The last dinner is looked forward to by all, as it's where the Canadian signature dish is served, the rack of lamb. Our last meal starts with a bowl of butternut squash soup, followed by the absolutely stunning rack of lamb. It's tender, juicy, and crusted with herbs. It's served with creamy mashed potatoes, seasonal vegetables, and a rich rosemary-infused sauce. It's the perfect culinary culmination to this absolutely incredible journey across Canada. It's right about now where I'm starting to think about heading to bed after a beautiful day of sightseeing through the Rockies. But unfortunately, the universe has other plans. As we wait for our dessert, the train manager comes into the dining car with an announcement, and it's not good news. At around 5:40 p.m., a Canadian National Freight train derailed south of Barrier, British Columbia, blocking the right-of-way and taking the tracks with it. The derailment means our journey on the train will end just east of Clearwater, with buses coming to take us the rest of the way to Vancouver. The crew says the buses should be here around 11:30 or 2 hours from now, with an anticipated arrival in Vancouver just after 7 a.m. This is in no way how the journey should end, but it's the hand we're dealt that we must play. But hey, at least there's dessert to cheer us up. For our final dessert on the Canadian, we're served a delicious slice of dulce de leche cheesecake. Following dinner, we're told to head back to our rooms and wait there for information on when the buses would arrive. 11:30 comes and goes with no bus in sight. With the PA system down and the crew left in the dark, the updates are few and far between. The crew says midnight, then 1 a.m., then 1:30. Eventually at 3 a.m., we're told the buses have finally arrived. The train is split across the 3 buses. Prestige and cars 10 and 11 are assigned to bus 1, our car, car 13 and 14 are assigned to bus 2, and economy is assigned to bus 3. It takes a while to shift the train around to allow each group to detrain, but we're finally off the Canadian and onto the coach that will take us to Vancouver. Instead of a comfortable bed and delicious breakfast, we'll be confined to an uncomfortable seat on a bus straight out of the 90s. But at least we won't be leaving empty-handed. As we step onto the bus, we're handed a paper bag, inside of which is a water bottle, Cliff Bar, and a couple of cookies. It's not a lot by any means, but it's better than nothing. The last passengers in our group board, and we're finally off and moving again around 4 a.m. Our first break comes about 2 hours into the journey, a random Petro-Canada gas station just outside Kamloops. If you had told me we'd be visiting a random gas station while on the Canadian, I'd have called you crazy, but here we are. Oh, the places you'll see with Via Rail. It's also here where we find out we'll be adding about 45 minutes to our journey to bypass traffic on the main road. It's not great, but what are you gonna do? We awake from our slumber once again, this time to the snowy scenes around Merritt, our bus pulling to a stop for another bathroom break. This might be a gas station off the main highway, but at least it's scenic, the mountains along the horizon reaching up towards the low-hanging clouds. After grabbing a less than ideal breakfast from the convenience store, it's back on the bus to head to Vancouver. While the bus ride isn't ideal, it's not all bad. As daylight begins to bathe the landscape, we begin our drive through the Coast and Cascades mountain ranges. Now, just for the heck of it, why don't we take a look at the seating on board our Prevost bus? Our coach is laid out in a standard 2x2 with exclusively airline-style seating. Each seat provides minimal legroom with just a couple inches for taller individuals. A footrest extends down from the seat back, but it's almost entirely unusable due to the small seat pitch. Above each row are air vents and reading lights, though no outlets are provided. Luggage storage is found above both sides of the bus, with storage for larger bags provided in the hold below the seating cabin. If this were the 90s, then entertainment would have been provided through the CRT monitor suspended from the overhead racks. While those monitors haven't worked in a long time, we need not worry, as the show outside is just getting started. With a cancelled train and bus replacement, there comes a question of compensation for our less than ideal travel conditions. On the day of travel, VIA handed out contact slips to each passenger and asked them to contact VIA's customer service line to figure out what compensation would be provided. I did just that and was told that each passenger would receive a refund for the portion of the journey not covered by train, plus a VIA Rail voucher for an equivalent amount. VIA's website then states that we'll receive about half that, as we were provided alternative transportation to our final destination. Clearwater to Vancouver is roughly 12% of the journey, so we'll receive a 6% refund on our sleeper ticket. Seeing as I paid $1,402 that equates to a refund of about $84 and a travel voucher of an equivalent amount for a total compensation of $168. After weeks and weeks of waiting, the compensation finally came through. A $79.10 Canadian refund and an $81.50 Canadian travel voucher for a total of $160 Canadian and 60 cents, for about $112. You'll notice that's about $50 short of what I expected to receive. I reached out to VIA to see if they could shed some light on their refund calculations, which they did. Apparently, the refunds were calculated from Kamloops to Vancouver, not Clearwater to Vancouver. The refund also only seems to account for the minimum upgrade to Sleeper Plus and doesn't take into account the level of Sleeper Plus each passenger traveled in. I can't seem to find anything on VIA's website that states this to be the case, so VIA, if you're watching, mind filling me in on how you got those numbers? Now, seeing as we lost a night's sleep, breakfast on board the next day, and were delayed getting into Vancouver as we'll see in a bit, I was hoping for a little bit more than what we got. And I was at least hoping the refund process would make any sense at all, but clearly it doesn't. The whole compensation experience has left a sour taste in my mouth after what was an amazing journey. The sky clears as we approach the suburbs of Vancouver, our bus turning off the highway as we finally reach the city center. After 7.5 hours of driving, Pacific Central finally comes into view, our bus pulling to a stop at the end of our journey. We might be 4 hours late and absolutely exhausted, but we're finally here. Stepping off the bus for the last time, we can grab our luggage and head inside the station, where we'll bring our odyssey on the Canadian to a close. I know this wasn't the spectacular ending that everyone hoped for, but these things happen, and sometimes all you can do is take a deep breath and face it head on. But with our journey at an end, it's time to bring this unbelievable adventure to a close. I hope you've enjoyed our ride on the Canadian, even if it didn't finish as we had hoped it would. The comfortable accommodation, incredible meals, and stunning sights made this a really special trip across Canada. Anyways, if you're new around here, I would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. It's totally free and it really helps support the channel. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to my loyal patrons and members. Y'all are amazing and your incredible generosity is always greatly appreciated. If you too want your name in the video or just want to support the channel in more ways than one, then head on over to the links in the description below. But anyways, that's all I have for today. Thanks for riding with me, and I'll see you in the next one.